Good morning. It's Libby with Gemini Homestead. I'm kind of underneath the tool shed. It's misty raining. I came out to check the garden. We had a lot of rain. Kind of do a walkthrough of, wow, got a lot of work ahead of me. Just like a lot of you do. Cabbage is doing great. I'm looking at them. I mean, the mustards, the collards. Let's see, the spinach is doing good. I'm kind of glancing around. I've got a whole bed of a variety of kale. It's really doing phenomenal. My carrots, yeah. If anybody knows me, that's a blessing. This is going to be a little bit different video. I've had something weighing on me. I didn't know it till this morning at 3:30. Now I'm a little under the weather. I have been in contact with Flu A more than once. We have 5 members that had the flu. So I have been exposed. I've had the flu before. Parts of me feel like I'm getting the flu. Parts of me feel like maybe not. Could be with all the medication I've been on for 3 weeks for another infection. I don't know. But, if it is, it is. There's not really nothing I can do about it. But at 3:30 this morning, feeling bad and trying to, wait a minute, what is wrong? But when you start asking yourself that, your mind can go in all different directions. That's because you're not resting here. So if you can't rest here, nothing else will rest. I did a video last week. It was called Crossroads. And I was referencing it to really anyone. Because we all are at crossroads. Many times throughout our life. But I think this morning I realized that maybe it was me that I was at a crossroad. We are new to this YouTube platform. Not new to the community, but being new to having a channel, okay? Being a creator, as they say. I'm not a creator, I'm just me. But we were very reserved in what we shared. One, we don't know how to edit videos. So you get a cut off at the front and a cut off at the back, and whatever happens in the middle just happens. But I said 2020, whether it was good editing or not, I'm going to show how did we get these tomatoes? How did we get this broccoli? Instead of just taking pictures, some may want to know how we grow. What works for us. But also when I made that promise to be more transparent, even though I feel we are very transparent, I myself have to fully commit to being honest with y'all of why I am the way that I am. Why I choose to be uplifting. You see, it's not a front, it's a choice. And I don't want to make the video too long, but it's weighing right here. That maybe y'all need to know Lippy. Or maybe I just need a platform to unload. But you see, fear can lead to a testimony that restores faith. I think each time there's a situation and there's fear, it can restore your faith. In 1980, it was 2:30 a.m. in the morning, and I woke to a bunch of noise, sirens. I get up and I hear my daddy, and I go into the living room and I see these people, paramedics, and my mom's laying flat on the floor. My dad's laying over her, and paramedics. They're getting her up on a gurney. My mom's unconscious. At 15, I don't know what's going on. I'm like, what's happening? Daddy said, I'll be back. Well, he leaves. He doesn't come back, but my sister does. My sister was grown, married, children. I came late in life to my parents. My brother was in Vietnam, if that tells you. And my sister drove me to the hospital. And, oops, sorry y'all. That'd be a cat. Can't cut it out, so we're gonna leave it. And there's a glass window, and I'm looking in it, and I see my dad, and I see a priest, and I see my mom on this bed, and it's at an incline. And I didn't know what was going on. She's getting ready for surgery. It was her first bypass. She ended up with 3. When I went home, and I'm 15, I'm like, why? So you see, fear factor had started setting in then. I was a child. I'm not a child now, so I can look back and reflect on. That's the first time I questioned my faith. It's a time I didn't know. 21 days passed by before my mom could come home. But a couple of days after her surgery, I made Daddy some coffee. We were sitting at the table. And he said, we got to pay bills. And I said, we got to what? He said, we got to pay bills. Y'all, that was the night that I learned that my daddy was illiterate. My daddy was a great provider. He was brilliant with numbers. He used to walk around with that little notepad. If he gave you something, he gave it to you. If he loaned it to you. There was a big difference. So then it made me think, okay, every time there was a birthday card, Christmas, whatever it was, Mama would snatch it out of his hand because they were like newlyweds. She'd want to read it. But I took it as a joke. No, that's because my daddy couldn't read. So he slides this checkbook to me. I don't know what to do. He says, well, you have to put their name here. You put the date, and you write the amount. Then you give it to me, and he signed his name. I had to fill the envelope out. He licked the stamp, put it on there. I never spoke this story to my dad. I continued where Mom, my sister, and my brother left off. I knew then why, but it was never spoken. That's when I got to share in taking the card out of his hand. Daddy let me read it. But when Mom got home, it restored my faith. That was in 1980. I was bitter. Even though she was at home, she retired from work. Things were different in school. My parents were older. My friends' parents was younger. My lifestyle at home was different than theirs. It was more in an adult. And I'm not saying their parents weren't adults, but mine was in a different setting. My parents had already been down that road. So what they were teaching me as a young adult, sometimes I was taken as punishment because my friends were doing this and doing that. As an adult, I see they were giving me the best tools I could have ever had in my life. So they didn't know what to do with me. Vacations was if I went with my sister and her family. Now they taught me the values, homesteading, gardening, cooking, all these tools that we've got to have, or I feel we need to have in life. So things rocked on. I'll be honest, I was bitter. So I just didn't understand any of this. But I gave birth to my daughter at 22 years old. That changed my mindset. And I was a single parent. My daughter was the greatest gift to me, because I only have one child. But in 94, January of 94, it was cold. My daughter was in kindergarten. Let's see, yep. No, yes she was. No, she wasn't. I'm trying to think. That'd been in 93, excuse me. It was in 93, at the end of 93. We're going into January of 94. I get a phone call from the school. I have to go pick my daughter up. She's really sick. By that evening, my daughter was in the hospital. That was the first of 4 hospitals in less than 2 weeks. We ended up in Houston at Methodist Hospital. It's adjacent to Children's Hospital. That's when fear factor set in again. Because I was told that my daughter was the only one of 5 in the nation that needed this surgery. Because I did not know that my daughter was born with her Siamese twins organs. Yeah, you heard me. So instead of 1 kidney on each side, my daughter had 3 functioning kidneys and 2 functioning urethras that had to be reconstructed. That was one of 4 surgeries. Fear factor. I questioned my faith. Yet again, I questioned my faith. Put it on me, not on her. In February of 94, I get a call from my dad. My mom was mopping the floor, and she fell. So he had her at the emergency room. Thought she broke her hip. Mind you, I'm in Houston with my daughter laid up in a bed. I said, oh, well, what can I do? You know, my sister said, I got this. The next day, things happened so fast, y'all. It was literally the next day. They find out that my mom's eat up with cancer. It was just that fall, and when they did the x-ray, they found it had moved to her bones. And things just went in a whole different direction. My daughter was able to come home with the external cath bag. She lived in a room we called the bubble room. There was a nurse that came every day. My daughter was schooled for a year by a teacher that came twice a week in her room to her bedroom. But between February of 94 and March of 94, my parents sold their home and moved in with me. Now, my daughter had a large room. So my daughter was in one hospital bed, my mom was in the other hospital bed, my dad in the spare room in a regular bed, but on a walker, because in between of 93, my dad had prostate cancer and had surgery. If you talk about a whirlwind, I didn't know if I was coming or going. My mom opted for radiation. I still had my daughter. I had no faith then. I'll be honest with you. None. Hey, what did I do so wrong to deserve this? But you see, it wasn't about me. On May 13th, 1994, it was on a Friday. Friday the 13th. By this time, we had moved to another house. Her and my dad had their own bedroom that was set up for them. Mom's going through radiation. My daughter's going through therapy. And she says, I need to go to the hospital. Okay. Well, needless to say, my mom passed 2 days later on May the 15th at 2:07 p.m. overlooking the courtyard of where they said I do 50 years to the date. That's it, I was done. I'm 27 years old. I'm wet behind the ears. I still don't know what the hell I'm doing. Maybe some of you do at 27. If we're being honest, we really don't. That's it. I was done. So my dad says, look, we need, you need help. I need help. Because by this time my dad was getting out of a walker into a wheelchair. So we move from South Louisiana to North Louisiana in 95. At the time, I didn't like this at all. Not at all. Now, I must say, I was married during all of this, but you don't hear me speak of that because it wasn't about that. It wasn't about my ex-husband. It was about me. Fear factor and the testimony to my faith. And that's what this is for today. So we move up to North Louisiana, where my sister is. I go through a divorce. But I will touch on all my knowledge from my ex-husband is where I knew about dairy, farming, a true homestead life. My daughter was 18 months old when I married my ex-husband. She was 11, I think, right at 11 when I divorced him. But anyway, so I spent a couple of years working and just basically going through the motions. Fear. I feared anyone coming into my circle. I just had to do what I had to do. That's it. But in 2000, my daughter had to have a surgery. It was just tonsils. There's a big deductible. I was offered the opportunity to make some cash. And that's when I met the love of my life, Buddy. That's when my faith was restored. Because you see, anytime I got to a little wall or something, I just, no, I ain't got time for this. I had closed my heart. He said, you know what? You can't change yesterday. It was him that made me realize God's always been in my heart. But every time he would try to surface up, I'd shut him back down. No, because you're just going to take it away from me anyway. He wasn't taking it away from me. When things happened, he was making me stronger, see? Because he knew that I was going to have weakness. He knew there was greater fear factors ahead of me. In 2002, I buried my dad. Fear didn't set in. Loss did. See, I opened my heart, took care of it. But in 2004, I broke my back. Okay, we got surgery. Fear had yet to set in. Until after the first surgery. I wake up and there's this stuff all hooked to me. See my husband sleeping on this little bitty couch, and he's a big man. And I don't want to disturb him, but I got to use the bathroom. I wasn't a fan of bedpans. So I go to get out of this bed, and I hit the floor. I was like, what? What the hell? You know? My husband jumps up. And he says, "What the hell are you doing?" But it was not in a stern, angry, it was in a pant of fear. That fear factor set in. I could see it in his eyes. He knew something I didn't know. Because it happened so fast, I was like, okay, I'm not feeling nothing from the waist down. Something's wrong here, people. He gets help. It wasn't long the doctor came in. And that's when I was told I got a hell of a battle ahead of me. But something came over me. I said, this is a battle I will win. Fear factor wasn't there. I don't understand. It left me. The fear wasn't there, but motivation was. Because you see, when I restored my faith in him, fear was never going to be a problem. And it was then that I said, you know what? I'm going to walk. Because my daughter was graduating. And I'd be damned if I go in a chair. Now, if it was God's will, it's God's will, and I would have accepted that. But there was something inside saying, nope, this is different. I made it to her graduation with a walker. That was good. I was good. But I got better. Because I was going to be faced with in 2008 with breast cancer. Oh, let me tell you what. The words in itself. Bam. Worst fear factor I ever had. Now, I got nasty mouth with him this time. Nasty mouth. And I said, you know what? While you're burning all this damn energy, getting nasty mouth, take that energy and burn it to saying, I'm going to beat this devil. I'm going to beat him down. And I did. I'm here making this video. So in 2018, I'd been real sick. And throughout this, I was diagnosed with lupus and all that hoopla crap, you know. And that's what I call it. Because I was a small stepping stone to the stepping stones in the mountains that I have endured. And I'd do them all over again because it's made me who I am today. But in September of 2018, I was flat out told I was dealt a bad hand of cards when I was born. Nothing that I did. But I have a deficiency that there's no hope for. I can have a liver or a lung transplant if and when that day comes. And the survival is slim to none. See, that was the beginning of me taking the pen. And I'm writing my own chapters now, see? The chapters had been written so I could become who I am today. So before I end this, some of you question, I'm so upbeat, you love my personality, yada, yada, yada. You know what? I appreciate that. I sure do, because it's an encouragement. But here, sitting here, underneath this tool shed, this is my testimony. My faith is as strong as it's ever been. I do not feel I'll ever question that. Will fear set in? I'm still breathing, so I'm sure I'll face fear sometime. It's coming. It's called life. But I think the crossroad that I was at last week was the crossroad of me having to be transparent with myself. Y'all won't often see this side of Lippy, because I choose not to be this side of Lippy. Every day I wake up, I want that to be the best day of my life. Because you see, I love hard, I laugh hard. But sometimes, just sometimes, we all are human. Sometimes we just have to be honest. And this is me being honest. I don't want and will not be on the sad train. Been there, done that. I didn't like it. I like the happy train. Yeah. So, to anyone that bends their ear on this video, as long as you're breathing, you walk through them doors. Don't close yourself up. Don't pull the shades down on the window, because you're going to miss out. Fear factor. It's up to you how you choose to face it. But let those fears be a lesson. Let those lessons be a testimony. But never lose faith. Never lose faith. Because when you lose your faith and you lose your compassion for life, you on the sad train. So I'm going to end this video and tell you, this sad train here, I just detoured for a little bit. I'm going to change my ticket. I'm getting on the happy train. Because every day I'm breathing, I'm happy. I love y'all. This is Lippy. This is raw Lippy. And today's going to be a good day. God bless.